So I know one person, one devotee, who read the Bhagavad Gita 5,000 times.
1,000.
Yeah. I mean, I read it 5 times, maybe 4 or 5 times. But there's this devotee who read 5,000 times. So why do you think it is necessary to read 5,000 times?
Because we forget things, that's why.
You will forget. And also every time
We
you
get a new perspective.
you read it, you get a brand new perspective, right? So
Yes.
that will help us in understanding the subject matter better. And again, it is Krishna's voice, it's Krishna's Vani. So any number of times you hear it, it continues to basically inspire us. So, chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita is context, right? And can anybody tell me how many times in chapter 1 Bhagavan Krishna speaks?
0, I think. He,
Huh?
he that is 0.
No, not zero. He speaks one time. He speaks one
Okay.
time. Yeah. So Bhagavad Gita starts not by Bhagavan speaking, but Dhritarashtra speaking. He's saying, "Oh Sanjay, after my sons and sons of Pandu assembled, what did they do?" So context setting starts. So they had this spiritual television where they could see from Delhi, Hastinapura, where they could see what's happening some 80 kilometers away in Kurukshetra. I don't know the exact length, distance, but Kurukshetra is quite far away. But they had the spiritual television where they could see what's happening, right? So, and Sanjay had this Divya Drishti. He is looking at what's happening on the battlefield and says there is a military formation, right? So, in the bygone days, there was always a military formation, sometimes in the shape of a turtle, sometimes the shape of a dove, sometimes the shape of a hawk. Different formations have different purposes. And based on the formation that you take, the enemy will take a correspondingly different formation. And then they will try to counteract the actual situation of the formation, right? I mean, actual aggressive pattern in the formation. So that is how the tradition actually allowed for in the battlefield, right? And what is happening? Duryodhana went to his teacher. He's a very big diplomat. And in the test, one of the first topics is about Duryodhana's diplomacy. I mean, I will pretty much give you what is coming on the test, right? And then you should do your swadhyaya or reading based on the Srila Prabhupada's purport, based on the hints that I'm giving you for the test. And then I will administer the test. Once you pass Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, Isopanishad, and Nectar of Instruction, then you write a massive test, 4 hours long, actually 4 plus 4 hours, total 8 hours on one day. You'll be very, very tired. And then you'll be conferred the degree Bhakti Shastri. It took me 6 years because I took it very slowly. I didn't really rush through it. Some people do it in 2 years. If you go to Mayapur, you can do it in 6 weeks, but then you'll be working. You'll do Mangalarti, you'll chant your rounds, and then you'll go to class, and you'll be in the class till the evening. But we cannot do that, right? We all have other duties in the Seattle area or somewhere else in the world. Therefore, we cannot do that. And hence, we take longer time. So, one of the points is Duryodhana's diplomacy, right? So, he's saying, "Behold the great army of sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Drupada." So, he's taunting his guru, Dronacharya, saying, "Your disciple, the son of Drupada, is actually orchestrating this battlefield." Drupada and Dronacharya were very, very good friends. But what happened? There was some misunderstanding, and Drupada went on the opposite side, and now they are enemies. Because of that historical misunderstanding, Drupada went on the opposite side to fight Dronacharya now. And then Duryodhana is taunting again, right? See, we have many heroic bowmen, somebody who does bows and arrows. And he's saying, we can easily beat, Bhishma and Arjuna, right? Who are those? Yudhana, Virata, Drupada. And then we also have Drishtaketu, Chekitana, Kasi Raja, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, and Saibhya. All these are supposed to be great warriors. And then they also have Yudhyamanyu, the powerful, Uttamauja, the son of Subhadra, and sons of Draupadi. Right? So you have a lot of people fighting in this battlefield. Very, very great Atirathis and Maharathis. And then he says, oh, best of Brahmanas, let me tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force. So he changes focus onto his military force. He wants to sing glories of his own military, and he wants to inspire his commander-in-chief, Dronacharya. Not that Dronacharya requires inspiration, but the reason he says that is because Dronacharya has a soft corner for Arjuna. So he's taunting his guru. So, okay, don't have that soft corner. We will win this battle like that, right? Then he praises his guru. Yeah, they are great personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna. And son of Somadatta called Bhurishrava. Bhurishrava apparently is a very great warrior. I don't know much about him. But if it is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, it means they are very important people. Like, I mean, they are very strong people. And then he says, there are other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. He's bragging now, right? And all of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and are all experienced in military science. So he's saying, Are Baba, don't worry, dear Guru. We have very strong parties and they're all experienced in military science. Just like we do computer science, there is something called military science. So it's not like you just go into the battlefield and start firing arrows. No, there is a formation, there is a strategy. They look at the capabilities, they look at the dharmic forces. You don't fight somebody superior. You typically fight with your equals. There is a lot that goes into military science. And he's saying perfectly protected by grandfather Bhishma. Right? Whereas the strength of Pandavas protected by Bhima is limited. Right? So he's pitting. One is Bhishma, who is the very strong party. And Bhima is strong, but he's still like, next generation of 2 generations after Bhishma. So yes, he is physically strong, but he may not have the same strategy like grandfather Bhishma has with his almost 100 years of battling experience, right? So he has a lot of experience. And then he's saying, you should all give support to grandfather Bhishma. Then Bhishma, the valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, blew his conch shell very loudly. So now there is a competition. I know the internet went a little blank for me, so I'll repeat. So Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, is blowing his conch shell. Conch shell means shankha, right? And that sound gave Duryodhana a lot of joy. He's like, wow, okay, we are going to win now. After that, conch shells mean shanks, drums, bugles. Bugle is basically you take a horn of a buffalo, hollow it out, and on one end you make a hole. And then when you blow through it, it makes a very nice sound. So it's basically a natural trumpet. And then, of course, you have artificial trumpets made out of metal and rubber and other things, and horns, various animal horns like goat horns and yak horns. So different kinds of horns are used. Again, all of this detail is given in the Mahabharata. So chapter 1 is basically a quick summary of the battle description from Mahabharata. On the other side, Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on the great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells. Right? Krishna blew his Panchajanya. Arjuna blew Devadatta. Bhima blew his conch shell called Paundra. So conch shells are also personalities. Right? So very, very interesting. Again, I want you to read the purport. I'm giving you a quick overview, and then you have to do Swadhyaya. You have to read the purports, and all the the answers to the questions are there in the purports. So King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, Ananta Vijaya. Right? So there will be one question on the names of these conch shells in the exam. Okay? And there'll be one question around the family trees. Right? How is Bhishma related to Karna? Who is Kripacharya? Who is Ashwatthama? Anybody know who Ashwatthama is? Whose son is he?
Dronacharya.
Yeah, Dronacharya's son. Very good. So you need to know the family lineages, and you need to know the names of the various functions. Again, technically chapter 1 is not Bhagavad Gita because Bhagavan speaks only once. But for context sake, we give a test on chapter 1 also. There's no real philosophy there, right? There is one philosophy. Who can be killed? So there are 5 types of people who can be killed. Prabhupada mentions in the purport. If somebody attacks you with deadly weapons, if somebody steals your wife, if somebody gives you poison, etc., etc. So in the case of Pandavas, the Kauravas did all 5. They gave poison to Bhima, drowned him in the water. They tried to steal Draupadi. They attacked them with weapons. So Krishna's point and Prabhupada's point is, therefore, Pandavas should not grieve in killing them. Right? You get the point? So who can be killed? If anybody does these 5 things or any one of these 5 things, they can be killed. So you cannot go randomly and start putting missiles like in the modern day warfare. Okay, weapons of mass destruction are there in a country. So let's go and put some Patriot missiles on them. Technically, in the Dharma Shastra, that is not allowed. Right? There has to be, some kind of discussion. Then there has to be a peace emissary sent out. Like Lord Krishna himself went as a peace emissary. Right? He said, oh, please don't fight. But they didn't listen. Duryodhana didn't listen. And then you start fighting. Not like clandestine manner, middle of the night. You blow some missiles and catch the enemy off guard. That is adharma yuddha. Okay, so then what happens? Blowing of the different conch shell became uproarious. And then the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, Janda Pai Kapiraju. Kapiraju means he's the king of all the kapis or monkeys. So then he took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. Then he said, oh, please draw my chariot between those 2 armies, right? Just like all the Kshatriya, hot blood. Let me go in the middle. Let me see who is there. I'll fight with them like that. And then he's saying, who came to fight wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra? So he's basically saying Dhritarashtra's son is evil-minded, right? Then Sanjay continues, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew the fine chariot in the middle of the armies. And then the Lord said, okay, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. So Lord spoke. Finally, Lord spoke in 25th verse. Right? And then what happened? Arjuna sees his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, etc., etc. And he became overwhelmed with compassion. Overwhelmed with compassion. Right? So there are 5 things I was telling Sunil last week. There are 5 things in chapter 1. The acronym is CEDSI.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
what is CEDSI? Let's write on a document. C is compassion, enjoyment, D is destruction, of family tradition. S is sin or fear of sinful reactions. Because if you do sin, then you have to pay for it. And I is for indecision. So in the next few verses, you'll see Arjuna goes from compassion to desire to enjoy to complaining about destruction of family tradition because of the destruction that's going to happen, right? All the men will be killed, so all the women will be exposed to robbers and dacoits like that. Sin or fearful of sinful reactions. Because here, Arjuna is not just worried about the Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas know how to protect themselves. But a lot of the people on the battlefield, the general Sipais, are not necessarily Kshatriyas. They're all employees, right? Some of them could be Shudras, like that. So, if those people get killed, what will happen? Their wives will be exploited by other elements of the society. So, there will be Varna Sankara or kids born outside of marriage, outside of wedlock. So, these said C. This is one other question on the exam. So, you should know what said C is and how Arjuna goes through this sequence. Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such fighting spirit, I feel limbs of my body quivering and mouth drying up." So this is the sign that he is unable to decide. He's confused, he's fearful. Body is trembling, hair is standing on end, Gandiva is slipping from my hand, skin is burning. These are the signs of fear and confusion. And he's saying, I'm forgetting myself, right? Mind is reeling. I only see causes of misfortune. Oh, Krishna, killer of Keshi demon. This is one other question on the test. Why does Arjuna refer to Krishna as killer of Keshi demon? Right? Prabhupada says in the purport that doubts are like demons. Doubts are like Rakshasas. So once we get doubt in our mind, you cannot function properly. This is what the governments are very good at. Propaganda machine like, Viktor Frankl from Hitler's army. He was very good at creating a doubt in people's minds by propaganda. All of advertising, right? They will have a beautiful girl and then there'll be a rubber tire for your car. What has the girl got to do with the tire? So since tire is very boring, they put a picture of a beautiful girl so that people will look at the girl and forget about the tire specifications. So it's all a battle for your mind. Modern life is all a battle for your mind. So now Arjuna is in the same situation. He's forgetting himself. Hey, who am I? What am I doing here? My mind is spinning. I can only see causes of misfortune. So these doubts are like demons. So that's why who is a demon killer here? Lord Krishna. So Arjuna turns to Krishna. Right? And he's saying, I do not see how any good can come. Right? And I don't desire any subsequent victory. Na kankshito rajyam, right? I don't want kingdom, he says. Right? If you go into the verse, what does he say? Na cha shreyo anupyasyami hatva swajana mahave na kankshe vijayam Krishna na cha rajyam sukanicha. Kankshe means desire. Vijayam means victory. I don't want victory. I don't want sukhani. I don't want any pleasure out of that. Right? Then what does he say? Oh, Madhusudana. So Krishna is also not only a Kesi Sudana, but Madhusudana. He killed a demon called Madhu. And he says, oh, killer of Madhu demon, why should I wish to kill them? Even though they might otherwise kill me. I'm not prepared to fight, he says. I'm not prepared to fight. Even in the exchange of three worlds. So we live in the middle world. called Bhuloka or Bhu Sangraha. Basically, it's the entire planetary system, not just like the Earth globe, but there is the Bhu Mandala, which is an entire planetary system in itself. Above that is the heavenly planetary system, and below us is the subterranean planetary system. So, in exchange for the three worlds, even if you give me three worlds, because normally what happens, his foster father, who is he? Who is Arjuna's foster father?
Vispitama.
Indra.
Where does his powers come from?
Indra.
Indra. Yeah, there you go. So Indra is always wanting three worlds, right? He wants to conquer earth, he wants to stay in heaven, and he wants to go attack the Rakshasas in the hells or the subterranean planetary systems. So there is a lot of significance in Arjuna saying, I don't want these three worlds. I don't care. I don't care a fig for these three worlds. So what pleasure will we derive? So now he's on the pleasure platform, right? If you go here, enjoyment. First he shows compassion. Arey, why should we kill? Arey, bichara, inko kyun marna hai? And then he comes into enjoyment platform. So what pleasure? But Krishna's point is that you're not doing this for pleasure. You have to kill because this is your dharma. You are a kshatriya. Either kill or be killed. If you get killed, you get Viraswarga, Virgati. If you kill them and win, then you enjoy the kingdom. And then now the third point, sin will overcome us. Remember what is the third point? Actually, the fourth point is sin. Family tradition will come to that very shortly. How could we be happy? But our Krishna's point is, it is not about your individual happiness. It is about preserving dharma. Because of the Draupadi Vastrabaran, people have transgressed dharma. So therefore, you should kill them. Simple. That is Krishna's point. Now, he refers to them, Krishna, as Janardana. How many? He did Kesi Sudana, killer of Keshi demon. Then he referred to him as Madhusudana. Then he referred to him as Janardana. These are all exam questions. One of them will show up. What is Jana and what is Ardhana means?
Jana means people. Arthana means who is protecting.
Protecting or giving shelter or listening to their woes. Right? If you have trouble, you will first tell your parents. If parents cannot solve, maybe you'll tell the village elders. If they cannot solve, ultimately, where will you go? You'll go to Janardana. You'll go to God. Right?
Yes.
So he says these people's hearts are overtaken by greed. That's why they're fighting for the kingdom. And they see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends. Right? But why should we, I mean, he's talking about himself, see the crime in destroying a family? From here on, he talks about family values, family pollution, everything family, family, family. You'll see that. Yes, he's a repeating theme from here on. With destruction of dynasty, right? The whole dynasty, Kuru dynasty will be destroyed because both parties are very strong. They will not stop till everybody is killed on the battlefield. And that's what happened. These 5 people, Pandavas were left and a few people were left. That's it. Everybody else was killed. Eternal family tradition. What is the family tradition? If somebody dies, their kids have to give Pinda Pradhan. And if you don't give Pinda Pradhan, your forefathers will rot in hell. And if all the men are killed, who will give Pinda Pradhan? That's the statement Arjuna makes. Get the idea? Who will give the Pinda Pradhan? Family tradition is vanished. And then when irreligion is predominant, women of the family become polluted. Right? So what happens? The men won't follow any religion. The men will be killed. And what happens? The women will be exploited by other men, not from the people who are fighting the battle right now, but it could be from somewhere else, different other kingdoms or whatever. And then unwanted progeny will come, and unwanted babies will come. And what happens when you have unwanted population? It creates hellish life for the family and those who destroy the family tradition, which means it will give hellish position even for himself to Arjuna, right? Because he is causing this battle to happen. Although he thinks he is the cause, but actually, who is the cause? Who is the real cause of this battle?
Duryodhana.
Duryodhana.
Any other answer?
Vibhishana also.
Any other answer?
I think it may be Dhritarashtra as well,
Who?
like his Dhritarashtra,
Okay. Any other answer?
or maybe
Uh,
Krishna, like he wants to have this battle to.
Yeah, that is the thing. Ultimately, Krishna decided that the battle should happen. Otherwise, he would have found some way to not do the battle, right? Because all the Kshatriyas became very, very proud. He wanted to clear out the planet and make way for the fresh souls. Actually, Krishna is causing this battle to happen. It is not any one of us, any one of the
the,
people who are on the 640 million people on the battlefield.
but Krishna Prabhu tried to avoid the war by
Yeah, he tried to avoid
peace
the war
talking.
superficially, but heart of heart, he wanted the war to happen.
Mhm.
See, why does the Lord come? For two reasons. What are the two reasons?
To protect the devotees and to destroy the
Miscreants.
demons. Yeah.
Yeah, paritrana sadhunam. Sadhu paritran means taking care of the sadhus. Vinashaya cha dushkrita. Dushkrita means somebody had do bad stuff. That's all it is. And the definition of bad is very broad. So ultimately, without Krishna's will, you may say, oh, Putin attacked Ukraine and 100,000 people died, right? So it may appear like that superficially, but ultimately, who's running the show?
Krishna is
Krishna
running
is
the show.
running the show. Even now, every moment, Krishna is running the show.
But in that sense, all the things are run by him only.
Everything is run by him. So our duty is to just dovetail our activities with him.
No, from in the Kaurava side also, whatever they did, the gambling and Draupadi's, uh, what they did to Draupadi, everything is will come under
No,
his
no, no, no.
action.
It's not everything will come. There is a primal cause. Krishna is the primal cause. But then, do you align with the primal cause or do you rebel and you do your own thing, sinful activities, right?
Hmm.
How does sin happen? Because of lust alone, Krishna says later in the Bhagavad Gita, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, yes, Kali Yuga, population will come to an end. Doesn't mean that you will come to an end. You can chant Hare Krishna and be dear to Krishna. There is always a free will choice every second of your life.
Yeah. Misuse of free will is the problem, but
Misuse of the free will is the primary problem. And misuse of free will happens because of ignorance. Therefore, we have to give that ignorance, remove that ignorance. That's why we recite the mantra, right? Jnananjana shalakaya chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jnananjana. So, with a torch of knowledge, it's not a torch of light. It's not a torchlight with two batteries. With the torch of knowledge, the spiritual master takes away our ignorance. So, whether you like it or not, Kali Yuga will become degraded, and then Kalki will come and destroy all these people. But what are we going to do about it, right? So, what is our position in this grand scheme of things? So, we have to figure out how we are going to serve Krishna. That's it. You cannot stop the Yuga cycle. No way. We cannot even stop the air, right? And Arjuna says later in the Bhagavad Gita, yeah, I can stop the air, but I cannot stop the mind. Actually, we cannot even stop the air. Arjuna had a special weapon for that, Vayuvi Astra. So, but even for him, controlling the mind was difficult. Therefore, it all boils down to mind control. How do we control the mind, and consequently the actions as a result of mind control?
Mhm.
Yeah. See, now the Pinda Pradhan topic is being brought. Performances for offering them food, right, to the ancestors are entirely stopped.
Mind, Prabhu, mind is one of the material in one of the 24 materials, right?
Yeah, yeah, it is, yeah. Bhumi
So,
apo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankaramiti me bhinna prakriti ashtada. So bhinna prakriti, these are the 8 forms, 8 direct manifestations of prakriti: earth, water,
so
fire, air, ether. And then what does it say? Kham means ether, mano means mind, right?
yeah, it is in which chapter, Prabhu? This slow?
We'll come to that. Slowly we'll come to that. Don't worry.
No, just for academic purpose.
Yeah. No, you
No.
cannot memorize like that. I also tried memorizing, but it's very difficult to know where they are. But you should know what Krishna's purpose is and what his message is, right?
Mm,
So these 8
yeah.
elements are his separated energies, he says in that shloka. So mano means mind, buddhi means intelligence, and ahankar, even the false ego that we have, is his separated energy, right?
Yeah, Prabhu. But
So,
when we say mind, the mind cannot exist independently, right? Mind should be there within somebody's soul or somebody's body, right?
yeah. So the soul is covered with 3 particles: mind, intelligence, and false ego. So
So,
soul is central point. Around that, draw 3 concentric circles: mind, intelligence, false ego. Around that, draw 5 concentric circles: earth, water, fire, air, ether, like that.
so the soul is created along with mind and intelligence, because in the scriptures it is said first mind and soul is in the end, right? It is
No, no,
created in
no.
the.
Like when you see the Srimad Bhagavatam 3rd canto,
Mhm.
as creation happens, mind comes first, and then soul is suspended in the mind. You see the point? Soul is suspended in this glue of mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah. So when, I mean, again, that is very interesting because we had this envious attitude towards the Supreme Lord. We are immediately kicked out from the spiritual world and placed in this material world. But then to function in the material world, you need mind, intelligence, and ego. So those things are provided to us. And when
So,
we get liberated, you will give up. First, you'll give up ether, then you'll give up air, then you'll give up fire, then you'll give up water, then you'll give up earth, right? And
mhm.
then you'll give up ego, then you'll give up intelligence. You'll align the intelligence with the Supreme Lord's intelligence. You'll align your mind with the Supreme Lord's mind. Unless you're able to do that, there is no question of liberation. But right now, we are struggling with even basics, right? If somebody doesn't give us lunch
Yeah.
half an hour in time, half an hour late, immediately we become very angry. Third World War will start,
Mm.
right?
But
So we are still
in
struggling with basic elements. That's why fasting on Ekadasi and fasting on Janmashtami, these things will train your body. Even if those are not there, you can still control your mind.
yes, in some points, Prabhupada is saying that when you understand that you are the material, not the material body, you are the soul, then you are a liberated person.
Yeah, but that's a long way to go for us, right? We theoretically we know that we are not the body, but practically, if somebody says, "Okay, you are not the body, give me your wallet and all your credit cards," we won't give, right? So practically, we have to come. We have to come to that point, and that is what we are practicing right now. Okay, so by the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated. So if you destroy family tradition, then community projects, family welfare activities are devastated. So society becomes ripped apart. Then Arjuna continues, "O Krishna, maintainer of the people." So again, he is Janardana. You see this? Maintainer of the people is Janardana. I've heard by disciplic succession that those whose family's traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. This is very important. So Arjuna is not a novice or a beginner. He already heard through the disciplic succession, Acharya Parampara, that if the family traditions are destroyed, then the destroyer goes to hell. So therefore, he's saying, I don't want to be the person to destroy these traditions indirectly. Therefore, I don't want to fight. And then again, he wraps it up with sin. We are getting ready to commit greatly sinful acts. Right? And again, enjoyment, desire to enjoy royal happiness. We are intent on killing our own kinsmen. So he's now giving the summary after all this argument, like court argument. Your Honor, based on the 15 facts that I presented, I would say that this person in the bone is not really a criminal, like that. He's giving a wrap-up argument now, which is again sin and enjoyment. Then he says, it's better that the sons of Dhritarashtra will just kill me. So I'll actually not fight. I'll just drop my arms, let them kill me, he says. So now he's into indecision. Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bows and arrows and sat down on the chariot. His mind, see, mind. Ultimately, it all boils down to the mind. Overwhelmed with grief. Right now, everybody's talking about SVB, bank collapse. They're talking about like the First Republic Bank collapse. And media is playing games with your mind. Actually, nothing has happened. I mean, some people have lost a little bit of money, but the economy is still going on. The banks are still there, the rest of them. But some people in the haste, they might sell off their stocks or make some stupid mistake.
Yeah, media is always making anarchy in the society.
Right? Media is like a terrorist.
Yeah,
They actually play games with the people, population.
they are the main problem in the modern society.
Yeah. So that is where Rompa Swami says, don't read newspapers. Your mind will be messed up. I mean, you can read it from a critical perspective, right? From a preaching
Yeah.
perspective. Oh, Krishna said this in the Bhagavad Gita. This is what I'm seeing in this news article, like that. From that perspective, you can see and then train yourself on how idiotic the general audience, general population is in the world.
Mm. But sometimes these debates are very addictive. I mean, some people um, they are very much engaged in watching the debates and these discussions in news channels.
Yeah, you'll have four people in a panel, they'll talk some nonsense, and then 4,000 people in the audience will
they won't ask the actual question and they won't answer the real answer also. They are just say we'll be discussing something nonsense. They will never come to the point. That's the main thing.
Yep, that is true. Okay, so that is chapter 1. Questions, comments.
So I have like one quick question. So basically, is mind like a part of material, or is our mind transcendental?
A purified mind is transcendental. A material mind is material. Like if your mind is filled with, okay, I have to write this Java code, I have to get promoted at work. Those are all material conceptions. But a purified mind is thinking, Savai Mana. But this prayers by King Kulashekara, where he says, my
Yeah.
mind should be fixed on the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Savai Manah Padara Vindayo Vachamshi Gunaru Varnane, that verse, King Kulashekara's prayers. Right? So mind should be glorifying the Supreme Lord, starting with his feet, like that, he says.
So basically,
Yeah,
like,
mind is
yeah,
both spiritual and material, right? I mean, depends on what you are quoting it.
okay.
It's a container. So what you put in the container, you get out. That's it.
So, but like, there will be some original nature of this container, right? Like, so,
What's that?
like, so basically, we are like putting like material thoughts or the spiritual thoughts in this container. So, like,
Yeah.
but there should be some original nature of this container, right? Or like,
The
or like
original
good
nature
that
of the
decide.
container, the original nature of the container is spiritual. The original
Okay,
nature of buddhi is spiritual. The original nature of ego is I am the servant of God, right?
okay,
But now in the contaminated stage, they think I am the master of the matter. And the contaminated intelligence says that I should use my intelligence to make more and more money. Contaminated mind says I'll boss it over the nature, I'll boss it over my colleagues, this, that, whatever. Everybody wants to boss over everybody else.
I have one more question. So this test 43. So like, does Krishna answer these questions directly anywhere, like in the following chapters? So it says that I have heard by disposition that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell.
Yeah, it'll come now in the next chapter.
Okay, I'll wait for that.
So, I mean, some of it came earlier in the first third of this chapter, and some more
Okay.
will come because there are about 10 more verses where Arjuna will lament. After that, Bhagavan Krishna gives the complete knowledge, right? He'll keep on going for 22 verses. Krishna gives the knowledge of the soul. So it is a conversation. Arjuna put together about 38 arguments, and Krishna will give about 30, 35 points. So he will, no, not like modern day, right? You talk once, somebody will interrupt you, and then conversation goes nowhere. These are cultured people. So he put all his 38 arguments forward, and Krishna will put his 30 something arguments in a sequence, and they will debate like that. Okay, so homework for all of you is to read the purport of chapter 1.
Prabhuji, my question is that during conversations, you said soul is suspended, mind is working or active. So I want to know about this. So if soul is suspended, so our heart, our feelings are absent. Is not a part of soul?
Your feelings are not part of the soul. Soul is only a
But
decision making entity. Your feelings are part of the mind. That is why if
but
you conquer your mind, most of the feelings will go away. People live their entire life in their mind.
but our heart is pumping, right? It's a biological construction. But whatever we feel, we are hurt. We feel we are God with the heart. So our soul feel the God with heart, or our mind feel the God with mind.
Yeah, it is a tricky question, right? So, mind does sankalpa vikalpa. Means, should I do it or should I not do it? Mind is a binary device. Intelligence has all the data around is this good for me or bad for me? You get the point?
Mhm.
So, mind, man, buddhi, or ahankar. Mind, intelligence, and ego or false ego. Ahankar is false ego. These three things in combination allow us to make our decisions. But if the soul is firmly fixed with the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita and knowledge of Shastras, soul will use the intelligence, buddhi, to control the mind. Right?
Mhm.
Senses are just like monkeys. They're jumping from this branch to that branch. Hey, I see this nice new movie. Let me go watch that. Who wants to go to Bhagavad Gita class? Let me watch that movie. Like that, right? Sense will give you like some random stimulus. Mind says, okay, Sankalpa Vikalpa. Okay. I am 48% going to Bhagavad Gita class, 52% going to movie. Right? Then Buddhi comes into picture. Buddhi says, you idiot, you should have 80% desire to go to the Bhagavad Gita class. And then control, subdue the mind. My mind is like, flexing its muscles. So intelligence should say, okay, shut up. I'll beat you up if you do a lot of nonsense. Go to Bhagavad Gita class. And false ego says, why Bhagavad Gita? Who is Krishna? You are only God. So Buddhi says, no, 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 no. According to scriptures, according to this information, Krishna is God. You are a servant of God. So Buddhi, informed by scriptures, will also tame down the false ego. It will tame down the false ego. It will tame down the mind and let the soul now go to Bhagavad Gita class. And this will happen every day. It happens to me every day. From time to time, I want to do something else. Then I have to remind myself, Arey, what is the goal of life? When where did that buddhi come to me? From all these preachers who have given classes over the last 20 years. I've attended so many classes. Srila Prabhupada's books, his videos.
So how we will recognize our mind is suspended now and our mind is active? Our soul is suspended or our
The
soul
soul,
is not?
see,
How
we tend to think that soul is doing a lot of activities. Soul is not doing a lot of activities. Soul is getting dragged by material mind and material intelligence. So if you train the soul with spiritual mind and spiritual intelligence, then you will not make a mistake. That's where you need a guru. That's where you need the company of all the Vaishnavas. Suppose, like if somebody doesn't wear a tilak and come to temple, someone will say, hey, Prabhuji, why are you not wearing tilak? Right? So there'll be checks and balances. Or if somebody says, oh, it's okay, one day I will drink coffee. And they'll say, Prabhuji, don't do that, it is intoxication. Somebody will correct you like that. So that is why we need a guru. Of course, guru cannot monitor you 24/7. That is why we need Vaishnavas around us. Good ones who will monitor us and will give us help from time to time. So it's a complete program basically. You read the books, you get advice from the guru from time to time, and on a daily basis, seek advice from your peers, Vaishnavas. Like somebody will come and say, Prabhuji, today is Ekadasi, you should not eat wheat and rice. Then you ask why, and then they'll explain. Okay, then you give them up. Because you may not meet your guru until next year. So you will not save that question till next year. You'll ask some of the other Vaishnavas around you. Right? I mean,
Okay.
I have my guru once a quarter or something in an email with my, thought process and my problems or guidance. No, I don't write my problems because guru is not like a container where you dump all of your problems, right? So you say, okay, this is what I want to do. Yeah, do you think this is right for me? And guru will evaluate your situation based on your age, based on your life stage. And he says, at this stage, this may not be good for you. Maybe you wait for 5 years, like that. Right? Like somebody goes and says, a 23-year-old and says, I want to take sannyas. Guru will say, this little, you have to wait a little, no? You first, you raise your family, train your kids, and then you can go take sannyas. But it depends. Like, when Ramanujacharya wanted to take sannyas, his guru said, okay. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to take sannyas, his guru said, okay, because they are in a different platform. But we are not. So it's like that. So it's all about, we'll spend the next 30, 40 years of our life training your mind through intelligence. And we train our intelligence through reading scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, hearing lectures. That will train our mind. And if you control your mind, like Krishna says elsewhere, later on it's coming, mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. Like sometimes, you go to these prisoners in the jail and ask, hey, why did you kill your wife? Or, whoever he killed, right? Your colleague. He says, I could not control my mind. I became so angry that I just pulled the gun out or took the knife. And that's how, typically the conversation goes. So if we train our mind, then they will think, what will I get by killing? Okay, some mistakes have happened. It's okay, let me move on, like that. And if that person continues to trouble, then you just avoid that person, right? It's not like that's the only person in the entire planet. You avoid that person and do other things with your life.
There is a sloga in third chapter which explains the mind, intelligence, and soul.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's all
third
coming. I
chapter.
mean, your questions are all very good questions, but that is why there's Bhagavad Gita, there is Srimad Bhagavatam, there is Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is Brahma Samhita. We are still in kindergarten right now. So we'll go step by step.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Okay, so read the purports for all 46 shlokas. Next week, I will give you a test.
Written test?
Yeah, written test. You'll write in a Word
Okay.
document.
Objective test or subjective test?
It will be subjective test. It will be like, what are the 5 reasons Arjuna does not want to fight? So you remember the set C and then you write that, right? Who can be killed in battlefield? Somebody who attacks with deadly weapons, somebody who, captures your wife, somebody gives you poison, somebody who burns your house. All that is there in Prabhupada's purports.
Prabhu, you send question paper for me? I didn't see. Or
No, I did not send for you. Sorry,
okay.
I kind of got busy. But I'll send for all of you at the same time, okay?
Okay, Prabhu.
So can you create a WhatsApp group, Sunil Prabhu, for the 4 of us?
Yeah, sure, Prabhu.
I mean, 4
Actually, Prabhu, one more devotee, he said he will join. His name is Abhishek. He is already an initiated devotee.
Okay, good.
He came from Bangalore recently.
Okay. Yeah, if he wants to write the test, he can be our guest, and final exam will be given by Radha Krishna Prabhu from ISKCON Houston.
Okay.
So yeah, start a group with Abhishek and whoever wants to join. I mean, we are open to everyone, right? So like we can learn from Abhishek, we can teach something to him, we can learn something from him. It's whoever wants to come, we will welcome them with wide arms. But of course, they have to write the test, right? Otherwise, it becomes a social gathering. I don't want it to be social gathering. I want it to be serious, right? I mean, basically, we have to learn, study, write test, and even if we fail, that's okay. We'll write second time and again, do it. In engineering, there used to be a subject called applied mechanics. I think I failed that 2 or 3 times, but by the end of it, I became very strong in mechanics.
Mm.
So Prabhuji is a mandated to English. Can I also write some points if I know from a childhood in a Hindi? So it's okay.
Yeah, Hindi is fine.
In Sanskrit. Okay. Okay, Guruji.
Okay. I know we are more than 1 hour. So we'll stop there and we'll meet next week. Okay. Next week, we will also do some chanting, but today we run out of time.
Okay.
Okay, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.